Ava Matthews was the kind of girl people overlooked without meaning to. She didn't wear loud colors. She didn't talk too much. She didn't flirt, didn't party, didn't post selfies on Instagram with filters and hashtags. She was simple, ordinary, and that was fine by her. She'd spent most of her life playing it safe. No wild nights, no messy relationships, no drama, especially not when it came to men. She hadn't even had her first kiss until she was 19, and it was forgettable at best. But she'd always told herself she'd wait for the right guy, the one who actually saw her, the one who wouldn't break her heart like her dad had broken her mom's. So yeah, Ava was a virgin, by choice. She had her reasons. But now those reasons meant nothing, because somehow, someway, she was pregnant, and the only man who could possibly be the father was the billionaire CEO she barely remembered speaking to, Jackson Hale. It didn't make sense. She sat in the corner of her small apartment bathroom, knees pulled to her chest, eyes locked on the 3 pregnancy tests lying on the tile floor. Positive. All of them. Clear as day. She hadn't even told Bella yet. She didn't know how. What would she even say? Hey, remember when you dragged me to that gala and I blacked out near the hottest and most powerful man in the city? Yeah, so... surprise? Her stomach twisted, not from morning sickness, but from fear, shame, confusion. She kept thinking back to that night, the way he approached her so casually, the warmth in his voice, that smirk, that gaze, like he could see right through her. Like he knew she didn't belong there. Maybe that's why he picked her. Maybe he thought she was just another girl trying to get lucky with a rich man. But she hadn't even wanted to be near him. She hadn't flirted. She barely spoke. Still, she had gone upstairs with him, into the VIP lounge, then into a private suite at the hotel across the street. She remembered the hallway, the golden lights, the smell of his cologne, expensive and dark. She remembered sitting on the couch while he poured her a drink. But after that, nothing. She woke up alone, fully dressed. Her purse and phone by her side, no signs of anything inappropriate. It had almost felt too normal, too innocent. So she convinced herself nothing happened. That he was just being kind. Maybe he put her to bed after she passed out. Maybe she just overreacted. But now her body was telling a different story. 6 weeks, no period, nausea, mood swings. She thought it was stress. Work had been brutal lately. The long hours, the pressure to perform, the constant emails. But when the second week of missed periods rolled around, she knew. Deep down she already knew. Still, she didn't want to believe it. So she went to the drugstore, bought a pack of tests, and took them one by one. Each time she held her breath. Each time she hoped the result would change. But it didn't. The truth screamed louder with every passing second. She was pregnant. And unless the laws of science had changed, there was no other possible explanation. What the hell happened that night? Ava sat there for hours, heart pounding in her ears. She didn't cry. She couldn't. It was like her brain hadn't fully processed what was happening. This wasn't just a problem. It was a scandal waiting to explode. Jackson Hale was the face of the company. The media followed him like vultures. If even a whisper of this reached the press, her life would be over. She'd be painted as a gold digger, a liar, a nobody who tried to trap a billionaire. And Jackson? He'd deny it, of course he would. Why wouldn't he? He probably didn't even remember her name. The thought made her chest ache. He used me. He knew I was innocent. And he still... No, she couldn't go there, not yet. She didn't even have proof. Just a baby growing inside her, and a blurry memory of a night that changed everything. Suddenly, the air in the room felt suffocating. She stood up too fast and stumbled, gripping the sink for balance. Her reflection stared back at her, pale. Skin, tired eyes, trembling lips. She didn't recognize herself anymore. She splashed cold water on her face, trying to snap out of it. She needed a plan, a decision, something. But every thought spiraled into panic. Should she keep the baby? Tell Jackson, quit her job, disappear? It was too much, too fast. She was alone, scared, and worse, she didn't know who she could trust. Her phone buzzed suddenly, dragging her out of the fog. It was a message from Bella. Bella. Lunch today. I'm dying to gossip. Spill everything, don't leave me hanging. Ava stared at the screen, fingers hovering over the keyboard. What could she possibly say? Oh, hey, I'm pregnant and the father is our billionaire boss I barely remember sleeping with. Yeah, no. She shoved the phone in her drawer and walked to the window. The city lights blinked like stars below. Somewhere out there, Jackson. Hale was probably at a business meeting or flying across the country, or charming some supermodel at another party. He had no idea the quiet girl from his company was carrying something that could shatter his world, and hers. And she had no idea what would happen next. But one thing was for sure, nothing would ever be the same again. Ava barely slept that night. Her thoughts kept circling the same nightmare. What if someone found out? What if Jackson found out before she even had a chance to explain? What if she lost everything, her job, her peace, her reputation? The next morning she forced herself out of bed. Her eyes were swollen, her stomach twisted in knots, and her skin felt like it was vibrating under the weight of anxiety. She moved like a zombie, trying to keep it together as she got dressed for work. She picked a simple black blouse and long beige skirt. Nothing too tight, nothing that hinted at the tiny swell in her belly that only she could feel. It wasn't visible yet, but she knew it wouldn't stay that way forever. Her mind kept whispering terrifying thoughts. You're going to show, someone will notice, and then it's over. At the office, everything looked the same. People walked by her cubicle, chatting about deadlines, coffee orders, and weekend plans. No one looked at her twice. It was like the world hadn't changed, but for her it had shattered. Bella showed up at her desk like a storm cloud of energy, holding 2 iced lattes and chewing gum like her life depended on it. Girl, what is going on with you? Bella said, narrowing her eyes. You look like you haven't slept in a week. I'm just tired, Ava mumbled, pretending to read an email she hadn't even opened. Work's been heavy. Bella raised an eyebrow. That's a lie, you're pale. Your eyes are puffy, and you're holding your stomach like you're about to puke. Are you sick or... Oh my God, wait, are you pregnant? Ava froze. Her fingers tightened on the mouse, and her stomach did a slow, painful flip. She laughed, nervously hoping it sounded real. What? No, of course not. Bella tilted her head, not convinced. You sure? You're acting really weird lately. I'm fine, Bella, seriously. Ava forced a smile, but it cracked on the edges. Bella didn't push, not yet. She just shrugged and handed her the coffee. All right. But if you're hiding some deep, dark secret, I better be the first to know. Ava nodded, praying that moment wouldn't come. By mid-afternoon, she was drowning in spreadsheets, trying to keep her mind busy, when she heard it. His voice. It was smooth, deep, confident, the kind of voice that commanded a room without even trying. Jackson Hale was in the building. She didn't need to look to know. She felt it in the air, everyone suddenly standing straighter, pretending to be busier than they were. It was like someone turned the volume down on the entire office the second he walked in. She peeked over her cubicle wall just in time to see him walk past. Charcoal suit, crisp white shirt, no tie, because he didn't need one. He looked like something out of a magazine, except too real, too dangerous. His assistant trailed behind him, rattling off a schedule Ava couldn't hear. And for just a second, he looked at her. Their eyes met. Her breath caught in her throat. But then he looked away like she was no one. Just another face in a sea. Of employees. And maybe that's all she was to him. A forgotten night, a drunken blur, an accident he didn't even know he made. The rest of the day passed in silence, until her phone buzzed. Unknown number, unknown. Ava Matthews, please come to the 31st floor, now. Her blood ran cold. The 31st floor was executive territory. The floor of the big players. The kind of floor people only visited for promotion or terminations. She swallowed hard and stood, trying to calm her shaking legs. Bella gave her a weird look, but Ava didn't explain. She just walked to the elevator like she was marching toward her own funeral. The ride felt like it took hours. When the doors opened, she was met by Jackson's personal assistant, a tall, sleek woman with blood-red lipstick and eyes that could kill. Mr. Hale wants a word, the woman said without even greeting her. Ava's heart nearly burst out of her chest. She followed silently through the polished marble hallway, every step echoing like a gunshot. Her palms were sweating, her lips dry, her mind spiraling. Did he find out? Did someone tell him? Did she say something in her sleep that night? The assistant opened a dark wooden door and gestured her inside. He's waiting. Ava stepped in. The room was massive, cold, and spotless. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the city skyline behind him. Jackson stood with his back to her, hands in his pockets, staring out like some movie villain planning his next move. Then he spoke. Ava Matthews. She flinched. His voice was quiet, controlled, dangerous. "Yes, sir," she whispered, standing awkwardly near the doorway. He turned to face her, and the weight of his stare nearly buckled her knees, his expression unreadable, cold almost, but not cruel. "I've been reviewing the guest list from the gala," he said, walking slowly toward her. "You were there." "Yes," she croaked, throat dry. "You left early," he added. "No social media activity. No gossip. No stories about trying to seduce a billionaire." His gaze darkened. "Unusual." Ava's hands clenched at her sides. "I didn't mean to stand out." "You didn't," he said sharply. "You disappeared." She didn't know what to say. He stopped just a foot away from her now, staring like he was trying to read her soul. "Tell me something, Ava," he said. "Did we sleep together that night?" Her heart stopped. She blinked. I don't know." He raised an eyebrow. "You don't know?" "I passed out. I don't remember anything after we went to the hotel," she said, her voice shaking. "I thought nothing happened." He didn't move, didn't react, just studied her like a puzzle. "And now?" he asked. She looked down, her voice barely a whisper. "I think I'm pregnant." Silence. The kind of silence that screams. Jackson's jaw tightened. His eyes flickered with something she couldn't name. Shock, fear, rage. And for the first time, Ava realized this wasn't just her secret anymore. This was war. Jackson didn't move for a long time. He just stared at her, as if he didn't believe what he'd just heard. Or maybe he did, and that was the problem. Ava wanted to disappear. Her throat felt tight. Her stomach was flipping over itself. But the worst part was the look in his eyes, like she was some kind of problem that needed solving, not a person, not a scared girl whose life had just been flipped inside out. Finally, he spoke. "How far along?" "6 weeks," she answered, voice barely above a whisper. He blinked, doing the math in his head. "So?" "The gala." She nodded. He exhaled through his nose, rubbing the back of his neck like the weight of the world had suddenly dropped onto his shoulders. "You're telling me you were a virgin when that happened?" Ava felt the burn rise to her face. Shame crawled up her spine like fire ants, but she nodded again. His eyes narrowed. "So, you don't remember anything? Not even a moment?" "No," she said. "One second I was sitting on the couch. The next I woke up alone in the hotel bed. I was still dressed. I thought maybe I just passed out and I did nothing?" He cut in, voice low and sharp. "You thought I just let you sleep it off?" She looked up at him, eyes wide. "I didn't know what to think. I didn't even want to believe it happened." He turned away, jaw clenched, pacing slowly behind his desk now. "I didn't drug you, Ava," he said, cold and clipped. "I don't do that shit." "I'm not accusing you of anything," she said quickly. I didn't know what else to think." "And you didn't tell me," he said, turning sharply toward her. "You waited 6 weeks. I didn't know for sure until yesterday." She shot back, more force in her voice than she meant. "Do you think I wanted this? That I'm happy about it? That I'm trying to trap you or something?" Jackson didn't answer. His expression hardened. And that was the moment Ava realized something terrifying. She was standing in front of the most powerful man she'd ever known, with a secret that could ruin them both. And she had no protection. No one on her side. "I'm not asking you for anything," she added, her voice cracking. "I didn't come up here to threaten you. I just thought maybe you had a right to know." A long silence stretched between them. Jackson finally walked to the window, arms crossed, staring down at the city. He looked like he was calculating 100 things at once. You don't understand what this means, he said, still facing away from her. If this gets out, if anyone finds out, it won't just ruin you, Ava. It'll drag this company into a scandal. I'll be eaten alive. I know, she whispered. That's why I haven't told anyone, not even Bella. He turned back around slowly, eyes cold now. And what exactly do you want from me? The question hit her like a slap. She hadn't even thought that far ahead. What did she want? Money? No. A relationship? Definitely not. A confession, an apology? She didn't know. I'm scared, Jackson, she said quietly. I've never been through anything like this. I didn't want to be alone in it. For a second, something flickered in his eyes. Pity, maybe. Regret. But it vanished as fast as it came. I'll have my lawyers draw something up, he said, walking toward his desk. Ava blinked. What? An NDA, non-disclosure agreement. You sign it. I'll take care of everything else. Medical expenses support discreetly, but this doesn't leave this room ever. She felt like the floor dropped out beneath her. You want to pay me off? I'm protecting both of us, he said, almost robotic now. You don't want this in the tabloids any more than I do. Her lips parted in disbelief. Wow. He glanced up. What did you expect, Ava? I don't know, she said bitterly. Maybe for you to act like a human being. He flinched, just slightly, but he said nothing. She backed away toward the door. Her voice shook, but her spine straightened. I don't need your money or your NDA. I came here because I thought you deserved to know, but now I wish I hadn't. She opened the door to leave, but his voice stopped her. Ava. She turned around slowly, tears brimming in her eyes. If you're carrying my child, he said carefully, you are going to need something from me eventually. Not like this, she said. I'm not some secret you can hide with a signature and a paycheck. And then she walked. Out, not waiting for a response. The elevator ride down felt like a freefall. She kept her head down the entire way back to her desk. Bella glanced up from her computer with a curious look, but Ava brushed past her straight into the bathroom and locked herself in the stall. And then the tears came. Hot, unstoppable, ugly sobs. Not just from fear, but from disappointment. From realizing that the man tied to her child wasn't a hero, or a mistake, or even a lover. He was a cold, calculated storm she'd wandered into without a damn umbrella. And now, she had to figure out how to survive it. Ava didn't leave the office bathroom for nearly 20 minutes. Her tears had dried, but the ache in her chest lingered. She stared at herself in the mirror, eyes swollen, face pale, lips trembling. That girl didn't look like her anymore. That girl looked like a woman who had been hurt, cornered, and then forced to hold her head up like nothing happened. She splashed water on her face again, pressed a paper towel to her cheeks, and took a breath so deep it nearly cracked her ribs. She wasn't going to break. Not here. Not for him. By the time she walked back into the office, Bella was already standing beside her cubicle, arms crossed and worry written all over her face. Okay, what's going on? She said without waiting. You got called to the executive floor and now you look like you just crawled out of an emotional grave. Spill it. I can't, Ava said, brushing past her and sitting down. Bella leaned in closer, whispering, You know I don't judge, right? Whatever it is, I've probably done worse. Ava gave a hollow laugh, but it didn't reach her eyes. No offense, but I really don't think you have. Bella stared at her, then softened. Okay, I won't push, but you know I'm here. If you need me, right? Like, no questions, no advice, just here. Ava nodded, feeling the tiniest sliver of warmth in the storm. The rest of the day dragged like wet cement. Every time she looked at her screen, her mind drifted back to Jackson. His cold voice. His eyes that didn't soften, not even for a second. He hadn't asked if she was okay. He hadn't even asked if she wanted the baby. All he cared about was control, image, silence. But he had no idea who she was. He thought she was weak. She went home that night, sat on her small couch, and stared at the ceiling in silence. Her stomach growled, but food didn't even cross her mind. Instead, she picked up her laptop and began to search. Pregnancy options, rights, legal protections, DNA testing, anonymous paternity suits, Articles on powerful men who thought they could pay away problems. It was like a switch had flipped in her brain. She didn't want revenge. She didn't want drama. But she wasn't going to be erased. This child, her child, deserved more than being a buried secret in some billionaire's closet. She'd tried to be kind, reasonable, quiet, but that girl was gone. The next morning, Ava woke up early, dressed clean and simple, no makeup, no distractions. She looked calm, too calm, like a storm in disguise. At work, she ignored Bella's suspicious glances and powered through her tasks. She didn't respond to emails from HR. She didn't answer the internal message from Jackson's assistant requesting a meeting. He wanted her to play this quietly? Fine, but it was going to be on her terms now. By mid-afternoon, she printed a copy of her initial pregnancy blood test. She put it in a sealed folder and left it on the receptionist's desk on the 31st floor. No note, no explanation. Let him sweat. Let him wonder what she was planning. The following days were eerily silent. No calls, no messages, not even a glance from the glass office upstairs. Then, one evening, just as she was about to leave, she got the call. "Miss Matthews," Jackson's assistant said in that crisp, robotic voice, "Mr. Hale would like to see you now." She didn't say anything, just hung up, grabbed her bag and made her way back to the floor where secrets were stitched and sewn. This time, she didn't wait to be escorted. She walked straight to his door and knocked once before entering. Jackson was standing behind his desk again, but this time he looked different, tired, like he hadn't slept in days. He looked up at her, eyes colder than before. "What was that stunt you pulled?" "You mean giving you proof?" Ava said calmly. "That's not a stunt, Jackson. That's reality." He slammed his pen on the desk. "You're playing a dangerous game." "So are you," she shot back. "But you're not the only one who knows how to play it." He stared at her for a long time, like he was trying to decide whether to threaten her or beg her. But Ava didn't flinch, didn't shrink. Her silence made him uneasy. "I want to handle this quietly," he finally said. "So do I," she replied. "But I won't be bullied, I won't be bribed, and I won't disappear." Jackson's jaw flexed. "What do you want?" Ava's heart pounded, but her voice stayed steady. "Honesty, respect, and a plan. This baby is yours. You don't have to like it, but you will take responsibility." He laughed bitterly. "And if I say no?" "Then I'll say everything," she said, stepping closer. "To your board, to the media, hell, to every woman who ever worked in this company and felt like..." Their voice didn't matter. Jackson stared at her like she'd grown horns, and maybe she had. Maybe she wasn't just Ava Matthews anymore, the quiet girl from the cubicle. Maybe she was something else now, a woman who had something to protect, something bigger than fear, something growing inside her. Jackson didn't say a word at first. He just stood there, watching Ava like she was some kind of unpredictable threat. And maybe to him she was. For years, Jackson had built his empire by controlling the narrative. He made headlines only when he wanted to. He silenced stories before they reached the second page. He'd been ruthless, sure, but smart. No scandals, no lawsuits, no real cracks in his kingdom. Until now. A single girl from his own office, someone he barely remembered, now held the power to wreck everything he'd built. And worse, she hadn't asked for a damn thing, which made her even more dangerous. Ava could see the gears turning in his head. She had come to fear him at first, but now she saw something different in his eyes. Not just calculation. There was panic beneath it. Something raw. "You think I don't want to take responsibility?" he finally said, quieter this time. "You think I'm some kind of monster who just throws people away?" Ava tilted her head, unimpressed. "Your actions said more than your words ever could." He looked down, then walked to the side of his office and poured himself a drink. Something expensive, no doubt. His hands trembled just slightly as he poured, but he masked it with that same cool composure he always wore like armor. "I've been through this before," he muttered. That made Ava freeze. "What?" He took a long sip. "Years ago, I was engaged. She got pregnant. I thought we were building a life together, but she wasn't pregnant at all. It was a setup, a lie to lock me in. When I found out, she threatened to leak fake paternity results to the media. I had to pay her off to keep my name clean. Ava's breath caught. She didn't know what to say. She sold the story anyway, he said bitterly. Told the tabloids I pressured her to abort, that I threatened her. None of it was true, but it didn't matter. That kind of damage doesn't disappear, no matter how many lawyers you hire. And just like that, Ava saw it. The fear behind his eyes wasn't just for the scandal. It was for being burned again. I'm not her, Ava said quietly. I don't know that, he snapped. You walk into my office with test results and a blank stare, and now you're threatening to go public. I'm not threatening you, Jackson. I'm warning you. If you treat me like trash, I won't sit in silence. But I'm not trying to ruin your life. I'm trying to live mine. For a moment, he didn't respond. Just stood there, drink in hand, eyes locked on her like he was trying to decide if she was telling the truth. Then he did something unexpected. He sat down. Not behind the desk. Not towering over her, just sat, like he didn't have the energy to keep pretending. What do you want to do? He asked, quieter now. Ava blinked. With the baby? With everything. I haven't figured it all out yet, she admitted. But I want to keep it. I am keeping it. Jackson nodded slowly, rubbing. His hands together like he was trying to warm them. Then I'll do what I have to. You'll get support. Medical care, discretion. But this doesn't become public. Not yet. She raised an eyebrow. So you still want to hide it? I want to protect it, he said sharply. The media will turn this into a circus. You think they'll say you're brave? No. You'll be the gold digger, the scandal. They'll dig through your trash just to find a picture of you smiling in high school and call it proof you planned this. She looked away, because deep down, she knew he was right. This baby will be born into chaos if we're not careful, he said. Let me control the narrative for now, please. That last word stunned her. Please, it wasn't a demand, it wasn't a threat. It was human. And in that moment, something shifted between them. The cold wall didn't break, but it cracked, just enough for a little light to pass through. Ava took a deep breath and nodded. Fine. But if you lie to me, if you spin this to save yourself and leave me out in the dirt— I won't, he interrupted. I swear it. She studied him for a moment longer, then stood. I'll expect the first prenatal appointment covered by Friday. Send the invoice, he replied, without missing a beat. She turned to leave, her heels clicking on the floor. Ava. She stopped at the door. I didn't mean for this to happen. She didn't look back. Neither did I. Then she walked out, and for the first time since that night, she felt something almost like control. She didn't know what came next. She didn't trust Jackson Hale. Not really. But she knew one thing. She wasn't going to let fear run her life anymore. This baby wasn't a mistake. It was a beginning. And she was going to fight like hell to protect it. For 2 weeks, everything was strangely calm. Ava went to work. Jackson didn't bother her. No sudden meetings, no lawyers, no one pulling her into secret conference rooms. He kept his word. Discreet medical coverage, a silent deposit in her account marked as a wellness stipend, and a short message from his assistant confirming her first OB appointment. It almost felt manageable. But that calm came with pressure. Every day felt like walking a tightrope. She had to hide the nausea during morning meetings, pretend her clothes still fit right, and answer Bella's never-ending questions with half-truths. She hated lying, especially to Bella. And Bella wasn't stupid. You've been glowing weird lately, she said one afternoon as they walked to get coffee. And don't tell me it's skincare. You keep going to the bathroom like you're smuggling a second bladder. Ava laughed nervously. I've just been drinking more water. You're lying. I'm busy. You're glowing and lying. That's suspicious. Ava looked away. I can't talk about it. Not yet. Bella narrowed her eyes. It's serious, isn't it? Ava didn't answer. She didn't have to. Bella read it all over her face. Okay, Bella said gently. You don't have to say anything, but if you ever need me, even if it's 2 a.m. and your world's on fire, you call me. Got it? Ava nodded, trying not to cry, because even when everything else was falling apart, Bella always made her feel like someone was still on her side. But the real fire wasn't. Far it came 3 days later, on a Friday morning that started like any other. Emails, coffee, scrolling through team updates while pretending to care about budget cuts. Then the whispers started. A few people huddled near the break room. Someone else opened Twitter. Another quietly gasped at their desk. Ava looked up just in time to hear someone say, "Did you see the article? Page 6 just dropped a bomb about Jackson Hale." Her stomach twisted. She clicked her browser, hands shaking, and typed his name. There it was. Big headline. Bold letters. Exclusive. Jackson Hale expecting secret child with mystery staffer. Below it was a blurred photo of her, leaving the doctor's office, hand on her belly, wearing the same coat she wore to work just yesterday. The blood drained from her face. The article was vague, no names, no confirmation. But the tone was nasty, accusations, anonymous sources. A leak from a former employee claiming Jackson had gotten too close to someone on the lower floors of the company. And worst of all, the photo was tagged just 6 days ago. Someone had followed her. Someone new. Her heart pounded in her chest. She couldn't even breathe. She felt the stares from across the office, quiet, judgmental glances. And then Bella appeared, phone in hand, jaw clenched. "Ava." "I didn't tell anyone," Ava whispered, already feeling the tears building. "I know, come on." Bella grabbed her arm and dragged her toward the elevators, straight to the rooftop patio, one of the only private places in the whole building. The moment the door shut behind them, Ava broke down. "It wasn't supposed to come out like this," she sobbed, voice cracking. "I didn't tell anyone, I swear. I don't know how they even got that photo." "Shh," Bella said, hugging her tight. "I believe you. I've got you." "I didn't want this," Ava cried. "Now everyone's going to think I—" "Let them think whatever they want," Bella cut in, eyes fierce. "You're pregnant, not a criminal." "But it's his baby. They're going to say I was after his money, that I planned this, that I'm trying to trap him." "Then screw them," Bella snapped. "You know the truth, and if Jackson Hale has even half a spine, he'll back you up." Ava looked at her, mascara streaked down her face. "I don't think he will." Bella's jaw tightened. Then it's time he learns what happens when powerful men think they can silence women. Ava had never seen her so serious. But before she could even process what that meant, her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. 31st floor, now. She didn't have to guess who it was. Ava wiped her face, took a deep breath, and walked back inside like a woman going into battle. Jackson was already pacing when she stepped into the office. His phone was on speaker, a woman's voice shouting from the other end. "You promised this wouldn't happen," the voice barked. "Now it's out. And the board wants answers before." "Choice? I'll handle it," Jackson said sharply. The voice scoffed. "You'd better, or you can kiss your reputation goodbye." He hung up and turned to Ava, eyes dark. Angry. But not at her. "Who did you tell?" he demanded. "No one," she said, hands shaking. "You think I wanted this to leak?" "Someone followed you. Got a picture. They've been watching." So Ava felt dizzy. "What does that mean?" "It means we don't have time for fear anymore." Jackson's voice dropped, serious now. "We go public. We own it. You come with me to the press conference Monday morning. We control the story before it controls us." She blinked. "Are you serious?" "If I don't, the board will think I lied. The press will spin this into 10 different stories. Investors will panic. This isn't just about us anymore." "No," Ava said suddenly. "It's not." He looked at her, confused. "This is about the baby now, and I won't parade them in front of cameras just to save your stock price." "I'm not asking for a circus." "Yes, you are," she snapped. "You want me to stand beside you and smile like we're some perfect couple. But we're not. We're a mess. And I'm not letting my child be your PR shield." Silence. Jackson stared at her like he didn't even recognize the woman standing in front of him. But Ava wasn't the same anymore. She wasn't hiding. She wasn't apologizing. This was her life now. And no one, not even the CEO of the damn company, was going to decide how she lived it. The door slammed shut behind Ava, but her words hung in the air like smoke. Jackson sat down slowly, his hands clenched into fists on the edge of his desk. For once, he didn't look like the powerful, polished CEO the world knew. He looked human, frustrated, cornered. He'd spent years preparing for crisis after crisis. Corporate espionage, lawsuits, mergers gone wrong. But nothing prepared him for a woman like Ava standing in front of him and saying no. He thought she'd be quiet, that she'd fold under pressure, that if he paid her off or played nice, she'd stay small. He was wrong. Now the leak had thrown gasoline on the situation, and she was the one holding the match. He knew the press conference was a risky move, but it was the only play he had left. If he didn't take control of the narrative, the media would devour them both. But Ava had drawn a line, and unlike everyone else in his life, she meant it. He leaned back in his chair, staring at the ceiling, the weight of 100 board members pressing against his chest. He could already hear them, angry calls, demands to remove him, questions about whether the company was safe in the hands of a man tangled in a scandal. His phone buzzed. Another headline. Jackson Hale's mystery woman identified, staffer, linked to CEO's alleged love child. This one didn't blur her face. Ava was everywhere now, and she hadn't even spoken a word. Jackson stood and walked to the window. The city stretched beneath him, cold and glittering. He'd once felt untouchable, like he could outmaneuver anything. But now he was one step away from losing everything. And maybe he deserved it. Downstairs, Ava sat in the supply room, trying to breathe. Bella stood beside her like a shield. They released your name, Ava. Someone fed it to the press. I know. This is war. I know. What are you going to do? Ava looked at her, eyes steady. I'm going to stop hiding. Bella gave a slow, proud nod. Damn right you are. Ava didn't return to her desk. She didn't answer messages. She walked straight out of the building, through the whispering crowd, and took a cab home. Her phone buzzed with calls from unknown numbers, reporters already trying to sink their teeth into her, but she ignored them. She went home, shut her curtains, and turned off every light. The silence wasn't comforting. It was loud. She curled up on the couch, hand on her stomach, and whispered, I'm going to protect you. I don't know how yet, but I will. And maybe the baby hurt her. Maybe that was enough. But by morning her doorbell rang. She peered through the peephole, heart skipping. It was him, Jackson, in a hoodie, no bodyguards, no suit. Just him, alone, looking tired and desperate. She hesitated, then opened the door. You shouldn't be here, she said. I know. Are you here to convince me to go on stage again? No. Then why are you here? Jackson looked her in the eyes. For the first time since this whole nightmare started, he looked scared. Not for himself, for her. Because you're right, he said. This isn't just about image, this is real. And I keep forgetting that because I've spent my whole life pretending nothing touches me. She didn't answer. He stepped closer, voice softer now. But this, you, the baby, it does touch me. I feel it, even if I don't show it right. Ava's throat tightened. I don't want to hide any more either, he continued. I don't want you to think I'm ashamed of you, or our child. Then why did you act like you were? Because I was scared, he admitted. Because I thought if I controlled it, I could survive it. But I can't control this. And I don't want to. She studied him, unsure if this was real or just another performance. I'm not asking you to forgive me, he added. But I am asking you to let me be part of this. On your terms. Ava crossed her arms. Why? Now, because the world already knows, he said. And they'll keep talking. But from this moment on, I want what you want. She hesitated. Her guard was still up, but something inside her cracked open. I want a statement, she said finally. His eyebrows lifted. I want my version. Out there. Not the tabloids, not your lawyers, mine. Jackson nodded. Then write it. Say everything you want to say, and I'll back it. Ava raised an eyebrow. And you're bored? They'll survive, he said. Or they won't. I've already drafted my resignation letter. Her eyes widened. What? If protecting my child costs me my position, then so be it. She was stunned, silent. And for what it's worth, he added, I never would have let you go through this alone. Even if you hated me, I'd still show up. Tears welled in her eyes, not because she fully trusted him yet, but because someone finally said they'd stay, and maybe, just maybe, he meant it. Ava sat in front of her laptop, fingers frozen over the keyboard. The screen was blank, the cursor blinking like it was daring her to speak. This was her moment, her voice, her version. She'd gone back and forth 100 times about what to say. Should she be calm, firm, emotional? Should she play it safe, keep it neutral? But then she remembered every whisper in the office. Every headline calling her the mystery staffer. Every stare that questioned her worth, and she knew she wouldn't be soft, she'd be honest. Her fingers finally moved, slow at first, then steady. I'm not writing this for sympathy. I'm writing this because I'm tired of people telling my story without knowing who I am. She poured it all out. The night of the gala, the confusion, the pregnancy test, the fear of being seen as just another scandal. She didn't name names, but she didn't hide either. She told the truth in the only way she knew how. I didn't seduce anyone, I didn't plan this, I am pregnant, and I'm keeping my child. That does not make me weak. It makes me stronger than I've ever been. And I won't apologize for it. She ended it simply. If anyone needed to hear this, you're not alone, and no one gets to silence your voice. Ava Matthews. She attached a single photo, her ultrasound. Then she hit post. Within 10 minutes, her entire world exploded. By the end of the hour, her statement had gone viral. It was reposted by women's rights groups, mental health advocates, and bloggers who praised her for owning her story without bitterness. The comments were filled with a mix of support and hate. Some called her brave, others called her a liar. But Ava didn't care because it was her words, not someone else's version, and that was power. Later that night, Jackson called. It's everywhere, he said, voice low. The board's furious, but what? But it's also the first time in years someone reminded them I'm human, he admitted. Ava sat quietly on the other end, unsure how to respond. I'm stepping down, he added. I made my decision. She felt her heart twist. Because of me? No, he said gently, because I forgot what it meant to protect something real. And I don't want to run from this, from you. She was quiet for a long time. I don't know what you want from me, Jackson. I don't want anything, he said, but if you ever let me in just a little, I won't walk away. Then he added, and that baby. They've already made me a better man. That night, Ava didn't cry. For the first time in weeks, she slept, deeply, peacefully, like someone who'd finally found the edge of the storm. 6 months later, the world had moved on. Headlines faded. The buzz died down. The chaos that once ruled her life became background noise. Ava walked into the maternity clinic, her belly round beneath a soft gray dress. She was glowing now, not because of filters or gossip, but because she knew who she was. Jackson sat in the waiting room, already holding the appointment card like clockwork. He stood when he saw her, his expression still unsure, like he never quite knew how much space she wanted, but she smiled at him. Come on, you're not missing the heartbeat today. They went inside together. The room was quiet except for the sound of that tiny, steady rhythm. The doctor smiled. Everything's perfect. Ava looked at Jackson. He was staring at the screen like he'd seen a miracle. You okay? She asked. He nodded, eyes glassy. I think this is the first thing I've ever built that matters. She didn't say anything. She just took his hand. The baby was born in late spring. A girl. Ava held her close in the hospital bed, exhausted but full. Jackson sat beside them, one hand on the baby's back, the other resting against Ava's wrist. He never said much in that moment. He didn't have to. The quiet was enough. The nurse came in and asked for the baby's name. Ava looked at Jackson. "Then," she said softly, "hope." Because that's what she had now. Not just a future, not just a child, but hope. Real, raw, untouchable hope.